From the early days of the Game & Watch to the modern day consoles, video games have been around for all ages to enjoy. Though in recent years it has been considered a problem for adolescents to children to play video games and hindrance to their learning and behaviour. Though is this really the case? We have interviewed teachers at Upper Coomera State College to voice their opinion about this matter.
Issues that I noticed with students who play too many video games.
Some students that have addictive personalities will sit in front of a computer all night. They'll end up drinking hot Coke and eating cold pizza.
Some of the issues I've noticed is that they have a shortened attention span. So especially in the classroom when they have a device, and even though the teacher has asked them, like myself, to close the device, I know that sometimes they're watching and looking at the screen at something, which happens to be probably 8 times out of 10 a video game or something else they shouldn't. So yeah.
So, going to bed in the middle of the night, getting up late in the morning, neglecting schoolwork. More importantly than that, they'll neglect their friends, their relationships, and become withdrawn. If students have this addictive personality, it can be extremely harmful.
Yes, I have. I have played video games myself.
When Nintendo was a big thing, I used to play Nintendo a bit.
Not to the point where they're sort of like really aggressive fighting games with guns and etc. But yeah, I have.
Oh, I particularly liked Warcraft, World of Warcraft. Got into Warcraft for a while.
Wave Race. It's pretty old. Wave Race, that was like on jet skis, but nothing where I don't play games with swearing. Yes, I do believe that video games impact a child's or student's behaviour.
Some video games like Maths Quest, where students are playing maths games, can benefit their education.
Myself, I'm a mother of 2 teenage boys, and one of my sons gets highly addictive to video games. So he started off on Minecraft, and when he was in year 6 I had to take his PC off him, and he had 2 weeks of withdrawal symptoms where he was very aggressive, really bad mood swings, was really cranky, and then I had to wean him off it. Now, you know, obviously I have to take his, allow him time to actually play his video games at home. He's in year 9, and because he has homework and a lot of study, so I have to monitor that, and this is because I can't trust him in a nice sense that he can't trust himself.
It can impact negatively if the games are just totally role playing and the student gets involved with the role rather than developing their own character.
How do I view video games? I guess I'd say I view them pretty positively. They've been a big part of my life growing up, and I've been playing them for probably 2 decades now. And I like to think that they're a more active form of entertainment than something passive like maybe watching a movie or watching a TV show.
I started playing video games when I was
5 or 6 years old.
6 or 7 years old. Our first video games were in the forms of tiny little consoles, and it would have 2 buttons on it, and it would have 1 game on it, and half the game was printed on the screen. So I had tennis with the Snoopy, and you could hit the tennis racket and you could either hit it high or low, and that was the 2 choices, and then I had a double fold out one, which was Donkey Kong.
And my dad brought home a Sega Master System 2 for us one day, so we got hooked on Alex the Kid and Sonic the Hedgehog.
So my parents perceived video games as
a bit of a waste of time, something to keep me and my brothers busy and out of their hair. So we eventually transitioned onto PC games and Super Nintendo games, but basically after that I had to buy my own consoles to keep playing games.
My dad bought a Commodore 64 for us to play our video games on, and our games we played through tapes, but it was always only on the weekends.
I think it would be a bit ridiculous for me to not let my son play video games, since he's probably going to see me playing them a fair bit growing up, but obviously having so much knowledge and experience about them, I can make fairly appropriate choices as to when he should start and what kind of titles he should be playing.
I think that students who play video games too much and stay up too late to play video games are tired in class, they can't concentrate, they don't do their work. So, are there benefits to playing video games?
I definitely do. I think there are ways that they can be positive. It can provide a wider range of experiences and other sorts of things, and there have been studies that show improved hand-eye coordination and things like that. But with anything, I think too many video games, especially at a young age, can be a bad thing if they're not correctly monitored by parents.
I'm not sure whether they influence children with their behaviour. I believe that they can become addicted to watching them.
Do I think YouTubers influence behaviour? Absolutely. I think any person, celebrity, whatnot that a young person is exposed to is going to influence them in some way. I just think YouTubers are the newest wave of that. And obviously, unlike other forms of traditional media, YouTubers don't really have anyone in there to check what they're doing and what they're saying. And oftentimes the parents aren't really paying attention to what's going on. So I think it is a way that children can be pretty heavily influenced without anyone necessarily catching it until it's maybe a little bit too late.
Through these interviews, we can determine that parents and teachers believe that certain video games are affecting children's behaviour and education. However, not having parents limit their playtime is also affecting their children. There are, however, video games out there which can benefit children, as stated by Mr. Del Prado and Mr. Sullivan.
Sega Genesis, now Super Nintendo, Sony, PlayStation, Xbox 360, this is